mouse, whoopity-doo, right over Shiloh in the background with his back turned towards the camera.
Ben, heed my next few words. We are at the end game. They can't beat mine and Forrest's team of Superman and hundreds of heroes. This next video was the big meeting in New Mexico where they tried to persuade you back to the side of the villains and stop bad-mouthing Shiloh Old. During this big conspiracy JCB treasure meeting where you still agreed not to rat them out because you 100% know the truth about their lies and deceit and murder, you stayed in this den of thieves.
Folks, we have reached a point where people think they still know more than Shiloh.
Are you really afraid to say my name, Ben? There's not people saying they know more than Shiloh. Be honest, Ben. There's only me, Dave Woodard, confronting Shiloh, but he hides behind vloggers like you.
Folks, we have reached a point where people think they still know more than Shiloh. Still, to this day, I bet you could go on YouTube right now, type in Forrest Fenn, because they put it in the algorithm, and you will get a stream that is telling you they know more than Shiloh, even still today. And I bet you most of you at home would probably go, well, it certainly sounds like it.
It certainly sounds like I know more than Shiloh. I know everything Forrest Fenn because I'm the man from back east, and I went into Forrest's mind and I found all the comics. And Superman and Aunt Esther, what a ha-ha-ha moment now. Their fraud is exposed.
Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Because I think you're the type of person that this was all for.
It was a treasure hunt created for someone with a creative, marvel gaze imagination. Give the poem to a child to read.
Crazy. I think the way this has all gone down, without ever saying it, is almost a way to say to you, fuck, you chose poorly.
Yes, my decision to stop digging when I found the brandy bottle and continue looking for other clues was poorly chosen. I have evidence that I have one of Forrest's treasures he kept. As I've gone alone in there with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret. He kept his treasures and his secret at the Kent and Esther grave marker. I didn't choose for Shiloh to steal the treasure chest. I certainly didn't choose for Shiloh to murder Forrest Fenn. Forrest chose poorly by trusting Shiloh with our secret grave marker location. It was Shiloh Old's decision to steal my treasure chest and lie about it. Then in August 2020, create a forged Wyoming document, and 2 weeks later, murder Forrest Fenn. August 24, 2020, forged Wyoming document. Shiloh Old murdered Forrest Fenn brutally. 8:15 a.m., Shiloh called Zoe and Micah to cover up the murder. Zoe called 911 26 minutes later. 7 hours to stage a scene at home. Meanwhile, Forrest dies in a hospital, but the family has to get Forrest back home to avoid an investigation. So they played the hospice card. They took Forrest's dead body home by ambulance and called a heart attack to 911 to cover the murder.
I guess he was at the hospital and they couldn't pronounce him there for some reason, so they had to take him back to the house and then get him pronounced over there. I'm not sure.
Jack says the stick just blew in there. He had no idea how perfectly placed it was on top. That's a bunch of bullshit, but let's keep going. So in my scenario here, Jack...
Hypothetical,
when Jack found it in September of 2019, he was leaving it, and he wanted a way to show that he was the original finder. He took the bracelet out, and he put the stick in, and that's the picture he took to let Forrest know, eventually, like, I have the bracelet. I'm the original finder. So kind of putting Forrest in a tough spot, but this is the verification. Now, it's in red. This is a theory, guys. So let's say, theoretically, Jack finds it in 2019. We already know there wasn't a bracelet, and why was there a stick? I'm going to say that was intentional. Jack took the bracelet and put the stick in. Okay, now we already have, in late September 2019, Forrest gives Dale 2.0. This should be in red. He offers Dale to go and check on it first, and Dale takes a little bit of time to decide. Mm-hmm. Now, Dale goes back less than a month later to see Forrest. And the Forrest interview, this is where we've heard that very famous private conversation. And they only taped for one day. I think Dale declined whatever it was. Shiloh has referenced that there was an event in which Forrest went from soldier to searcher. I think that's during this time. And in the final audio recording, where Forrest knows he's being recorded, Forrest tells Dale to confirm with the second poem for the real finder. Okay, we already know that piece. So that's October. And then we see in October through March, the scrapbooks in Condor, there's like a battle going on between Forrest and Jack. So Forrest is in a pickle, though, because he has not confirmed that the treasure is still there. So who does he send? So Forrest needs to verify if the treasure chest is still at the location, and he's devising a plan. This one special item. Next slide. This is the only other slide. We're not getting too carried away here. Mm-hmm. So I think after Dale declines, his ride or die, he declines. Now Shiloh is asked by Forrest to go check on the treasure chest before the park closes. The park closes November 4th.
Fuck. You chose poorly.
Forrest chose poorly, asking Shiloh. I chose and still choose to defend Forrest's legacy of superheroes. I didn't choose the wrong side. You did.
And despite what you thought, despite what you assumed, I actually wasn't your enemy.
Ben, you became my enemy the minute you chose the chase card and protected the fraud and murder. You chose poorly. I too was offered the golden opportunity to accept the chase card and join in with this criminal organization, but I chose to protect Forrest Fenn's legacy of heroes.
Can you understand I'm just in it for us, and I'm not in it for me? And then at the end result here, you're going to find out I wasn't in it for me. At the end result, you're going to find out, no matter what, even if they literally publicly handed over to me a gold bar worth $1 billion, and I took it, you will find out I didn't do this for me, I did it for everyone.
I'm channeling my inner Mario now. Let's not.
Forrest Fenn quote, "Nobody is going to stumble upon that treasure chest. You have to solve the poem to find the treasure." Known as poem purists. Listen good. But I tripped over a crudely made grave marker. People of Earth will stumble. Palisade and Capro are telling us that Netflix is going to show us that Jack Stuef solved Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt with slip-ups. Slip-ups? That would be stumbling upon the treasure. We deserve to understand just how slip-ups could solve the treasure hunt without the poem. That's suspect for fraud. My mind stays at about 13. Listen good. Forrest told us his thoughts in his 13-year-old mind. His favorite of all time was his best in the world comic book collection. If you looked into his clue, it's in Forrest's eyes. I've always been the best in the world at collecting fun things. Listen good. Booster Gold. Listen good. Booster Gold and more treasures inside. The best in the world at collecting fun things. Forrest Fenn's Hidden Treasures Inside. His stories about his favorite comic book superhero characters. Not the JBC Treasure Hunt. That's actually a fraud cover-up continuation. The real title that I own and I'm ready to collect was the title to the gold. The Marvel Gaze clue for the DC characters at the Kent and Esther graveyard. Clark Kent and Aunt Esther, the DC characters. People of the chase have stumbled. I'm here to pick you up and show you I found Kal-El, Clark Kent. Ken Esther, Ken Esther. The first clue nailed down. But Terry Scant with Marvel Gaze. The Wardens fell for a fake treasure hunt ending with fraud against Dave Woodard and the murder of Forrest Fenn. Please call this number and report fraud in the Forrest Fenn murder investigation at the Santa Fe Police Department. Chief of Police Paul Joy.